Gentlemen, welcome to another one of our series of Rep-in-nars. In this particular one, we're going to be talking about the TLC top load cartoner. This is that beauty that we're looking at right now. You'll notice that we have designed it in a modular nature so that the part to the left is your opener or former. In the middle, we have a myriad of different options for loading. And then to the right is closure either by tuck or glue. Let's talk a little bit about what the TLC is not. We are not a Bivens or a Jones CMV, a continuous motion vertical. You think of those applications more as a single bottle into a full overlap carton. For those applications, MGS would use one of our horizontal platforms instead, for example, an RCS, Eclipse, or Stealth. The CMVs generally have price points that are too low for us to compete, and generally it doesn't take personnel out of the equation. In other words, there are still multiple manual loading around a racetrack. So what is the MGS TLC? It's a platform that supports multiple non-stacking products or kit packing various dissimilar items. We compete with Korber, Bradman Lake, Harrow Hoflager, Schubert, and Serpa. So keep those names in mind. It is usually an upper tier marketplace that we're competing in. The markets that we serve are pharmaceutical, nutraceutical, parenteral, meaning injectable syringes, kit packaging, and wrapped food. Some examples of applications we want you to keep your eyes out for. As I had mentioned, wrapped syringes, wrapped snack bars, ammunition, obviously we have a presence in. Think candy, rolls, bars, vials, and multiples of any flow wrap product. Think medical device widgets that are wrapped and in a top load carton. Also, we are very capable in the K-Cup arena. The Carton Styles that we can handle are auto lock, formed from blank, and full overlap closure. And what we're going to do now is show you some videos of these three types of carton setups. The first example is an auto lock carton setup. What you'll see here is cartons magazined in a horizontal magazine, pulling it into the flight and overbreaking the carton as it indexes on to the loading station. Let's look at that again. Again, the important thing to understand here is that as we put it into the flight, we do overbreak it to make sure that the auto lock function at the bottom of the carton engages. And we got a nice 90-degree squared carton to go off to the loading area. This is an example of that same piece but as a standalone system. This is the little TLC module. I think you're going to find in operations where you have a manual load need, this would be a more appropriate setup device. Now we're looking at the cartons being formed from blank. We pull them out of a magazine, put them into a shuffle, and plunge form the blank. This is generally preferred in higher output operations, and the customer saves considerable money on the actual carton costs. Let's take a peek at that one again. So again, you have much higher capacity magazine. In this application, you have lower costs for the actual carton, and generally we can hit higher speeds. It's a beautiful thing. All right. Next up, we're going to be looking at a full overlap glue carton setup. So you'll notice that the magazine is to the right, and we pull the carton, the completely glued carton, out into a flighted conveyor and index it along for subsequent loading. We can load in many different, or we have loaded in many different ways. Robotic SCARA or Delta robots, manual loads, or shutter drop. We have next up in the queue a video of an example of a robotic load. And this is kind of an interesting one. It's fairly quick, but you'll notice that we've got the product situated, and it is not a vision guided. You'll also notice that the robot takes and places the first packet onto a shelf to allow us to index the carton to the next station and continue to load. Let's take another look at that. It happens pretty quickly. And again, this is a good example of a wrapped, fairly hard to stack product. It's got a little air in it, more like a pillow shape, and it would be very difficult to cider and load this. The output of this one goes on to a closing device, and as I had mentioned at the beginning, the carton closing styles are glue and tuck. First one we'll look at is glue, and it's kind of hard to see the glue head in this operation, but it's the lower left as it went by, and then we come into a compression top sealing area. More commonly, we'd employ a tuck closure because often the end user wants to reclose the carton and take out the second and third pouch as they use them. So this is an example of not only putting an insert into the carton, but getting it through plows and guides and an eventual tucking motion. So, in conclusion, what I'd like you to do is review the information provided on the markets and applications, and then communicate to Ray or myself the accounts in your territory. If we can get 5 target accounts that we can look at presenting our TLC offering, I think that would be a fantastic thing. And do call either Ray or myself with any questions about the content that you've seen in this presentation. Thanks for your time, and hopefully we'll be hearing from you soon.